Manalangin po tayo sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Ama naming pinakamakapangyarihan sa lahat, sa muli pong pagsilip nitong bagong umaga, naway ipagkaloob po sa amin ang kadalisayan ng iyong liwanag upang sumilay sa aming mga puso. Ituro mo po, Panginoon, ang karunungan sa aming pang-araw-araw na pagpapasya, ang kakanyang umunawa sa di sinasadyang pagkakamali ng iba, ang kakayahang makiisa sa mga hakbanging ikauunlad ng aming sarili, ng aming sangay, ang sangay ng Camarines Sur at ng aming bayan. Panginoon, ituloy po pong makita namin ang kabutihan sa puso ng bawat isa. Hilubin mo po ang aming mga puso ng takot at pangamba sa patuloy na pagtitil ng buhay ng mikrobyong hindi namin nakikita. Higit sa lahat, Panginoon, samahan mo po kami sa aming paglalakbay sa buhay. Akayin mo po kami sa mabuting landas upang kami mailigtas pagdating ng takdang wakas. Ito'y inihiling namin sa ngalan ng iyong anak na sa Jesus, sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Bayang magiliw, pwes na silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyot ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisihil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong buhaw. May nilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang kislat ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidingding, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw na luwalhati pagsinta, bawal langit sa piling mo. Ang iligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
To our nimble and lovely SDS, Ma'am Loida N. Midea, competent ASDS, Ma'am Maggie Brioso, Ma'am Lynn Padillo, and Sir Sueno Lusada, Dynamic CID and SGOD Chiefs, Ma'am Mariben Berha, and Sir Pedro J. Pilonio, EPS, PSDS, Unit Heads, School Heads, SDO and school personnel, department partners, a pleasant day to everyone. Today, we will talk about the SDO Camarines Sur COVID-19 strategies. Our speakers will discuss about the salient information about COVID-19 prevention and management, as well as incident reporting. To begin with, may I call in Sir Pedro J. Pilonio for the welcome address. Sir Peter.
Hey to all of you. to the Schools Division Superintendent, Ma'am Loida Nidea, to the Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Swen, Ma'am Maggie and Ma'am Lynn, to the CID Chief, Ma'am Maben, to the Education Program Supervisors, to the Public Schools District Supervisors, Unit Heads, school heads of elementary and secondary, our dear SDO personnel, teachers, and the other SDO workers. Blessed day to all of you. Today is an important activity of the SDO of Camarines Sur about the conduct of the contact tracing relative to the COVID-19 mitigation. Today is really an amazing day for all of us because you will be enlightened of the important things or action steps for you to be aware or acquainted with the important features and important information relative to the conduct of this contact tracing. You know, COVID-19 is really disturb us so much. So that's why we in the School Governance and Operations Division taking care of the important activities so that we can protect our clients, our employees from the COVID-19 So in behalf of the School Governance and Operations Division, I would like also to extend our congratulations to the School Health and Nutrition Section headed by Dr. Hera Albanyo for this laudable activity with the rest of the nurses and dental aid families. So we would like to extend our congratulations to all of you and to the rest of the SDO team for this laudable activity. So that's why participants of this event, welcome and be happy always, be safe, and God bless us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Peter. To officially open today's activity, please help me welcome the Fatherly ASDS, Sir Sueno Lozada, for the opening remarks.
Hi. Hello, good afternoon. Of course, my respect to our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Loida Enedia, our two other Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Ma'am Lynn Padillo, Ma'am Maggie Briuso, the two chiefs, Dr. Maribel Berha, Dr. Pedro Pelonio, Education Program Supervisors, Public Schools District Supervisors, Head of Units of the different functional units of the division, to all of you participants, SGOD personnel, CID personnel, OSDS personnel, good afternoon. Isang malusog at mapayapang hapon sa inyong lahat. The world continues to challenge us with the presence of COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a banner headline. It has been a banner headline of newspaper, broadcasting, or through media. Of course, my special acknowledgement to Dr. Hira Teresa Albanyo, our Division Medical Officer, and of course, our another speaker, resource speaker, Attorney Kate Flores, who will talk about contact tracing, and incident reporting. At this point, I'd like to appreciate the presence of presence of everyone, the whole personnel of the Division of Camarines Sur, who is more likely to be benefiting from this activity under the focal person of Mar Ronelo Girinya, and the support of other nurses and dentists of the Health and Nutrition Unit, and also the participation of the IT department headed by Sir Philip Nebria, and all others, Sir Steve, Mr. Vince, and all the rest who are supporting this activity. So really, we are requesting all of your special attention to this activity, considering that we are our enemy, the invisible enemy, are becoming devastating, considering that the presence of the Delta variant, more dangerous and more potent danger to our surroundings. And we are hoping that with this activity, it will bring our attention and awareness to a higher degree, so that we can always, we are always conscious that we take care of ourselves very well, so that avoidance is better than cure, considering that every day we are dealing with clients, and we are hoping that we will have a systematic tracing of the source of the virus, so that it can be contained, or it can be avoided, or it can be controlled, will not be spreading anymore. And as well as we will be taught to how to prepare incident report that is very necessary, so that our reporting will be accurate and will be reliable and immediate, so that immediate solution will be considered or will be given attention. So my appreciation to the organizer, headed by the medical and dental unit, headed by Dr. Hera Teresa Albanyo, and the other nurses, with the focal person, Mr. Mar Ronelo Girinya. So to everyone, may our presence be a fruitful one, and may we gain insight and information in this activity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Swed. Let us now listen to the inspirational message of our nimble SDS Ma'am Loida and Nidea.
Good day everyone, especially to the participants in this seminar workshop being spearheaded by the Health and Nutrition Unit of the SGOD. So my greetings to OIC Chief Peter, Dr. Hera, the dentists, dental aides, nurses, other personnel, and of course the participants in this workshop and training. Good morning. With the COVID-19 pandemic, we really need to capacitate our health personnel and also our field people on how to conduct contact tracing and the other skills needed beyond contact tracing. We need to ensure that COVID-19 in SDO Camarines Sur is prevented from spreading through a very systematic, accurate, well-planned, authentic contact tracing strategies. And so I commend the Health and Nutrition Group headed by Doc Hera for spearheading this activity, because in one way or the other, we shall be able to help our contact tracers, our proposed personnel who will do the contact tracing. We will be able to capacitate them and at the same time revisit the roles and functions, their limitations if there are, and the other things they have to consider prior to implementing, during implementation, and post-implementation of contact tracing. It's very necessary that we need CNT, not only contact tracing, but first the commitment. We do this because we are committed to serve not only of our clients in DepEd, but the rest of our stakeholders. So your commitment is commendable if in case you are participating already in this program after the orientation. And the other one is time. You have to give time to this by making sure that the quality time is spent both in this training and in the conduct of the contact tracing activities. So your commitment and time are both important. I also would like to believe that those who are participating in this project are also compliant with the vaccination program of the government, and I expect that all of you shall have been fully vaccinated and or about to complete the second dose of the vaccination, so that more or less you shall be protected, because we like that the people helping us on this aspect are physically, emotionally, and mentally ready also. So thank you to our resource persons. Thank you, Health and Nutrition Unit, for this initiative, and may we all continuously fight COVID-19, and that we shall be able to realize a normalcy in this time of pandemic. So congratulations for taking the challenge, learn more, and again, reflect if indeed you are committed and you have the time to do it. So if the answer is yes, congratulations, go, 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 and let us all be healthy while doing our role in this contact tracing activity. Thank you, everyone.
Ito ang Fast 5. Mayroon tayong 5 minuto para tanungin ang mga eksperto tungkol sa COVID-19 vaccines.
Kasama natin ngayon si Dr. Marion Kwek.
Ang pag-uusapan natin ngayong araw ay ang vaccine efficacy o ang pagiging mabisa ng isang bakuna.
Doc Marion, good morning.
Good morning po. I'm Dr. Marion Kwek. Ako po ay isang espesyalista sa infectious diseases at ako po ang chair ng Health Education Committee ng Philippine Society for Microbiology and Infectious Diseases.
Thanks, Doc. So let's jump right into it.
Sure, no problem.
Ang una po nating tanong, Doc, ano po ba ang ibig sabihin ng vaccine efficacy?
So ito po yung bisa ng bakuna na nakita nila doon sa mga ginagawa nilang pag-aaral kung saan tinitignan nila kung ilan ang magkakasakit sa mga taong nakatanggap ng bakuna kumpara doon sa mga taong magkakasakit ng COVID doon sa mga hindi nabakunahan. Ang sinusukat nilang bisa ng bakuna ay yung kakayahan niya na hindi ka magkaroon ng sintomas ng COVID-19. Pero kasama rin po sa mga sinusukat dito, yung ilan po ba sa mga nabakunahan ang magkakaroon ng grabe o malalang COVID at saka yung mga kung ikukumpara natin sa mga taong hindi nabakunahan. Ang isa sa mga pwede ring tignan sa bisa ng bakuna ay yung kakayahan niya na maiwasan ang patuloy na pagkalat ng COVID-19.
Doc, paano natin masisigurado na ligtas at mas nakakabuti ang bakuna kaysa sa posibleng mga risk na kasama nito?
Marami po ang nagtataka bakit po parang mabilis dun sa usual ang pag-develop ng bakuna. Pero actually, wala po sa steps na yon ang nilaktawan. So lahat po ng steps na yon dinaanan, and syempre hindi po magpo-proceed ang pag-aaral kung nakita nila na nakakasama pala yung bakuna nila. So aside from looking at the effectivity ng bakuna or yung bisa niya, tinitingnan din nila kung may mga masamang epekto na nakikita dun sa mga nabakunahan. And base po dun sa mga pag-aaral, karamihan po ng mga sintomas na nangyari matapos ng pagtanggap ng bakuna ay very mild, and usually po ito ay dahil sa gumagana yung kanilang resistensya. Tinitrain na natin yung ating resistensya para manlaban kung sakaling ma-encounter niya nga yung COVID, yung virus.
Dok, so nakikita natin, iba-iba yung mga vaccine ngayon at iba-iba din po yung mga efficacy rates natin. Ano po ba ang ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin po ba nun, yung isang vaccine po ay mas maganda kaysa sa ibang brand po natin?
Unless gumawa ka talaga ng trial na kinukumpara mo talaga ano ang bisa ng bakuna A versus bakuna B versus bakuna C, wala kang masasabi na sino ang mas nakakalamang sa kanila, no? Iba-iba rin po yung kanilang efficacy kasi nag-iiba rin po kung sino yung mga kabilang doon sa pag-aaral na yon. So, ang kailangan nating tandaan kasi is we are in a pandemic situation. No? At alam natin na ang pandemyang ito, marami nang nagkakasakit, no? Worldwide. More than 2 million ang namatay na dahil sa COVID-19. So, kailangan nating maproteksyonan ang karamihan sa Pilipino. Mapa 90 pa yan, mapa 60, 50, 70. Ang importante dyan, meron kang proteksyon kaysa sa wala. So shout out lang dun sa kasamahan ko, si Dr. Buen Salido. Siya po ang nagsabi. Tinulad niya ito sa Titanic. Lumulubog na yung barko. Tapos may mga life vest, limited ang life vest. Yun ang pagkaka-explain niya. And I wanted to share how he explained it kasi parang napakasimple nga, no? Parang nalulunod na tayo sa dami ng kaso, ang dami ng nagkakasakit. Kung ano ang una kong magiging available sa akin na bakuna, kukunin ko na yon. At least meron na akong protection. Pagpapasok ako sa COVID ward, medyo kampante ako na meron akong additional protection bukod sa mga PPE na ginagamit ko dun sa loob ng ospital. At saka, at least alam ko rin na kung less ang posibilidad ko na magkasakit at mamatay sa COVID-19, makikinabang din po ang pamilya ko doon.
Salamat po, Doc, sa pagsasagot sa aming mga tanong tungkol sa bakuna.
Sobra po ang nalinawan tungkol sa mga COVID-19 vaccines po. Maraming salamat po. Bye-bye!
Thank you. Magpabakuna po tayo.
Bye!
Bida Solusyon Plus laban sa COVID-19.
Ito ang Fast 5. Mayroon tayong 5 minuto para tanungin ang mga eksperto tungkol sa COVID-19.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ana Ong Lim and I'm with the DOH Technical Advisory Group.
Anong mga sintomas ng COVID-19 ang pwede i-treat sa bahay?
So napakagandang tanong. Ang mga mild symptoms, pinakakaraniwan pa rin siya sa mga nararamdaman ng mga taong nagpa-positive sa COVID-19. Kasama na dito yung lagnat, ubo, sipon, pananakit ng katawan, yung iba nagtatae. Pinaka-importante talaga is bantayan yung hirap sa paghinga kasi once sumumpong na yon, hindi na natin pwedeng sabihin mild and definitely kailangan na siguro na makita sa ospital o makita ng kanilang doktor.
Paano natin malalaman kung pwede tayo mag-home isolation?
Magandang mapag-usapan ng home isolation kasi lalo na ngayon, no, maraming mga taong nasa mga TTMFs or quarantine facilities or even sa hospital. And for as long as yung ating pamamahay ay may sariling lugar or isang silid na kung saan pwedeng mamalagi yung may sakit, and mas maganda rin sana na may sarili siyang magagamit na banyo.
Ano naman ang pwede kong gawin kung meron akong lagnat?
Ang lagnat ng COVID is not any different kumpara dun sa lagnat na nadala ng ibang sakit. Kino-consider natin na may lagnat na ang isang tao pagka ang kanyang temperatura ay 37.5 pataas. Now, typically, kung meron tayong lagnat, iniinuman lang naman natin to ng paracetamol. Karaniwan, isang tableta tuwing ika-4 hanggang ika-6 na oras.
Ano naman ang home treatment para sa sore throat?
Ang sore throat, karaniwan, ginagamot lang natin yan using supportive care. So tulad na lang ng saline gargles or pagmumog, no, ng water na may konting asin, o kaya pwede ring gumamit ng mga menthol preparations or menthol candies para lang medyo maibsan yung pananakit ng lalamunan.
Ano naman ang warning signs ng paglala ng mga sintomas?
Ang pinaka-importanting bantayan sa mga simptomas na lumalala na related to COVID-19 is really yung hirap sa paghinga. Pwede rin yun na rin na magdala nung confusion, pwede rin yung mga simptomas tulad ng sobrang panghihina kasi halos hindi na makakain, hindi makainom, no? So yung mga ganung klaseng signs, kailangan siyang masubaybayan ng healthcare professional.
Paano ko naman maiiwasang mahawaan ang mga kasama ko sa bahay?
Pinaka-importante dun sa iisipin natin pag tayo nag-isolate is dapat talaga nakabukod tayo sa ibang tao. So, dun lang tayo sa ating silid, dun na tayo kakain, hindi na tayo lalabas hanggang makatapos ng 10 araw. Now, kung tayo naman ay nasa isang lugar na shared bathroom pa rin ang ating ginagamit, sana yung surfaces ng banyo, tulad nung yung doorknobs, yung faucet, yung pinaka-surface ng lababo, at saka yung pinag-upuan natin sa inidoro, pupunasan muna natin yan bago natin iwanan ng banyo para yung susunod na gagamit, hindi naman mahawaan ng ating mga secretions o yung mga tilamsik ng ating laway kung sakasakali naman ay tayo ang gumamit ng banyo.
Sino po ang pwedeng kausapin kung may karagdagang mga tanong pa ako?
Maraming resources sa ating mga communities at napakaraming health workers na handang tumulong. No? So unang-una na siguro doon yung ating mga BHERTs, no? Sila naman ay naabisuhan, o yung mga midwives or nurses sa ating community, even our local health center physicians, they're always ready to help us with our questions.
Maraming salamat, Doc Ana. May mga paalala pa po ba kayo?
Karamihan pa rin naman sa mga kababayan natin nagpa-positive for COVID ay nabibilang dun sa mild and asymptomatic category. So, mukha namang kaya, no? Most of the time, nababantayan itong ating mga kapamilya within the home. Ang importante lang, siguro, habang maaga, meron ng link to telemedicine o kaya nakausap natin yung ating mga barangay or community healthcare workers para kung sakasakalit medyo lumala yung lagay ng ating kapamilya ay nakaset up na kung anong susunod nating gagawin. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat and mag-ingat po tayo.
Bida Solusyon Plus laban sa COVID-19.
Ito ang Fast 5. Mayroon tayong 5 minuto para tanungin ang mga eksperto tungkol sa COVID-19 vaccines.
Hello, Dr. Luigi Segundo po, Director ng Philippine Heart Association.
Hi guys, I'm Dr. Debbie Ona. I'm the President of the Philippine Society of Hypertension.
Pwede bang magpabakuna ang mga may high blood pressure?
Ligtas at epektibo ang magpabakuna lalo na sa mga pasyenteng may high blood. So, bago magpabakuna ang isang pasyenteng may high blood, dapat ang kanyang blood pressure ay kontrolado bago pumunta sa vaccination centers. Importanteng magpabakuna against COVID-19 dahil maiwasan na magkaroon ng critical or malubhang uri ng COVID-19. Hinihikayat namin ang mga may comorbidities na magparehistro sa malapit nilang LGU.
Ano ang mga kailangan tandaan sa araw ng pagbabakuna?
sa araw ng bakuna. So unang-una, dapat uminom ng maintenance silang gamot. Magbaon ng gamot just in case tumaas yung blood pressure nila para makainom sila ng gamot. Mag-relax habang nasa pila at dapat nakabihes ng komportable. At syempre, sundin ang BIDA steps.
Ano ang mga iiwasan sa araw ng pagbabakuna?
So, ang kailangan nating iwasan bago tayo pumunta sa vaccination centers, iwasan nating uminom ng kape or mga inumin na may caffeine. Iwasan natin manigarilyo or iwasan natin ang uminom ng mga gamot na makakapagpataas ng ating blood pressure pansamantala, mga pain relievers at gamot sa sipon. Also, kailangan natin iwasang kumain habang nasa pila para hindi pansamantalang tumaas ang ating blood pressure.
Paano kung tumaas ang blood pressure ko pagkatapos ko bakunahan?
Pagkatapos bakunahan, ang pasyenteng may hypertension ay imo-monitor ng 30 minutes. So, habang minomonitor ay dapat mag-relax at mag-breathing exercises. So, ang breathing exercises ang pwedeng gawin is inhale 4 counts, tapos pigilan ng hininga ng 2 counts, tapos exhale ng 4 counts. Pwedeng gawin to in 3 to 5 minutes. During the monitoring, kung wala naman nararamdaman, ay maari ka nang umuwi. Pero mas maganda kung halimbawa nakita na tumataas yung blood pressure mo, post-monitoring, after mong pabakunahan, mas maganda na magpa-check up ka sa doktor sa susunod na araw.
Pwede bang magpabakuna ang mga may sakit sa puso?
Oo. Bukod sa ligtas at epektibo ang mga bakuna natin laban sa COVID-19, ang mga pasyenteng may sakit sa puso o cardiovascular diseases, kasama na dito ang may coronary artery disease, yung may bara yung artery ng puso, mga nag-angina o kaya na heart attack, ang mga may arrhythmia o irregular na tibok ng puso, yung mga may pinanganak na congenital heart disease, yung mga may rheumatic heart disease, yung mga may problema sa valve ng puso. Kasama na rin ang mga pasyenteng may problema sa blood vessels, no? Kasama na rin dito ang mga may risk factors na tinatawag para sa sakit sa puso. Kasama dito ang obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes mellitus. Ang mga pasyenteng may ganitong sakit ay may mataas na risk magkaroon ng severe o critical na COVID-19. Kaya importanteng maprotektahan at mapukunahan laban sa COVID-19. Bilang paghahanda, importante na regular ang check-up sa inyong doktor at inumin ang inyong mga maintenance medication. Kaya magpatala na po sa inyong local government unit at magpapakuna laban sa COVID-19.
Pwede ba magpabakuna ang mga naoperahan na sa puso?
Oo. Ang mga pasyenteng naoperahan o nagkaroon ng procedure para sa sakit sa puso, kasama na dito ang bypass, open heart surgery, kasama na dito ang mga na-angioplasty, kasama na dito ang mga nakabitan ng pacemaker, kasama na rin ang mga naoperahan o nagkaroon ng catheterization procedure na tinatawag para sa congenital heart diseases, rheumatic heart disease o valvular heart disease. Kasama na rin yung mga pasyente na naoperahan o kaya nalagyan ng graft sa mga blood vessel. Lahat ng mga ito ay hindi hadlang para makapagpakuna laban sa COVID-19. Hindi po nakakasama ang bakuna ng COVID-19 sa mga pasyente na naoperahan o nagkaroon ng procedure sakit sa puso. Protektahan ng sarili laban sa COVID-19. Rest bakuna na. Bye!
Thank you and bye guys!
Bida Solusyon Plus laban sa COVID-19.
Our first speaker is a dedicated public servant. She will discuss to us the correct flow of incident reporting. Please help me welcome Attorney K.T. Flores, Attorney 3, and the Division Legal Officer.
Good day, everyone. For the next few minutes, there will be a discussion by yours truly on the guidelines on the submission of incident report as reflected in the Regional Memorandum Number 212 Series of 2018. Although this particular memorandum has been issued in 2018, there has been no significant changes on the guidelines except for some which, because of recent happenings or the extraordinary circumstances that transpired just recently, have been deemed to be part of the Regional Memorandum number 212, and one of which is the submission of the COVID-19 incident reports. However, this is no longer part of the report being received by the Office of the Division Information Officer, which is also the legal office, because of some reasons that we will be discussing a little later. Okay, so although this particular discussion has been already done in one of the MANCOMs we had in the past, there were some who are still quite confused on how incident reports are being prepared and submitted. So this is a good opportunity to review or re-inform the people. So for purposes of reiteration, I thank Dr. Hera for this opportunity granted to me. So may I now be allowed to proceed with the discussion? Okay, so the first question that you may have in the preparation and submission of incident reports is, of course, what incidents should be reported through the incident reports? These incidents are any unfavorable incident relative to the school or the school's division office. So these unfavorable incidents are those that are unusual, and those incidents which do not really transpire on a daily basis in the businesses of the school or the school's division office. If we have such question on what incident should be reported, we also have the question, of course, of what should not be reported through the incident report. And we have, first on the list, is complaint against teaching or non-teaching personnel. This is especially highlighted in this discussion because just recently, the Office of the Division Information Officer received an incident report which is actually, or in fact, based on its tenor, a complaint against a personnel. So this should not be reported through the IR and submitted to the DIO if the primary purpose of a report is to hold someone accountable for his actions, to discipline him or her, then might as well report such incident to your immediate supervisor, to your immediate superior, or submit a verified complaint before the office of the legal unit and not through an IR. And what else? Of course, other matters not concerning the school or the SDO. And what are these matters? Personal matters, not concerning anyone in the school or in the SDO. Okay, so after knowing which and which should not be reported through an incident report, we now discuss who shall prepare the incident report, when should it be prepared, and to whom shall it be submitted. The answer to those questions varies depending on the nature of the incident. So let's discuss them very briefly one by one. First, fire. It's actually very important that although the participants for this webinar come from the health section or with a responsibility pertinent to health, it's good that you are being informed about this matter, because should you encounter or experience such incident, you know who to give heads up to and you know what should be done. Okay, so let's go back to fire. The fire should have transpired within the school or within the SDO. Of course, we're not wishing that this happen, but an incident report shall be submitted pertinent to the fire incident should that happen within the school premises or the SDO premises. And who should prepare such incident report? We have two people. Take note of the conjunction "and." That means both the property custodian and the school head should have signed that particular incident report. This does not mean that two incident reports must be submitted, one for the property custodian and one for the school head. This only means that the property custodian, being the person who is directly accountable or who is rather concerned with fire, since surely property of the school has been affected. So the first person to go to is the property custodian. So the first person who should be concerned is the property custodian. So here, the property custodian should give the details relative to the incident to the school head. And this means that the school head in turn has been informed. So both of them should have signed the incident report before it is submitted to the office of the superintendent for her signature. Okay. And of course, the SDS will then transmit the same to the office of the DIO, which again is the legal unit, because I am the DIO and also the legal officer at the same time. Okay, an action to be taken. For purposes of discussion, the action to be taken that we refer to here are the preparation and submission of the incident report. However, in the template that we will be looking at later, the entry there that pertains to the action taken should not be this preparation and submission of incident report. The action to be taken there are the actions or the interventions given immediately upon the happening of the incident. So it should not be limited to the preparation and submission of incident report because these are given already. That means if this incident transpired, automatic, you should have prepared and submitted an investigation report. All right, response time. Response time refers to the urgency or the timeline rather for the submission, of course, preparation of the incident report. Here, what is seen is the term immediately. Although there is no definition of immediately in the regional memo, we construe immediately as that point of time from the happening of the incident, which has no significant interval of time to the submission of the incident report. That means if an incident happens today, submission of the incident report a week after, considering that there is a significant interval of time, does not anymore fall under immediately. So this actually is self-explanatory. To whom should this incident report be submitted? After the preparation of the incident report, which is already signed by the property custodian and then the school head, the same shall be transmitted to the office of the superintendent for her signature. So from the SDS, the same shall be transmitted to the office of the DIO. And then from the DIO to the regional office through the regional information officer. So again, we emphasize on the process or the flow of submission from the school level to forwarded to the office of the superintendent, and the SDS shall transmit the same to the DIO, and from the DIO to be forwarded to the regional office. Next, child protection policy related issues. This particularly includes the violation or the crime committed by the learners or our minors in the school. Who shall prepare the incident report? It should be the guidance counselor and the school head. By the way, on this matter, this, of course, should transpire within the premises of the school or the SDO, or even outside the school, provided that our learners are involved in this matter. Or also involving our personnel and, of course, a learner of our school. Action to be taken here is not only limited to the preparation and submission of the incident report, but the DepEd Order number 18 series of 2015 likewise requires submission of other forms. So for details of which, this shall be a separate discussion. But you might want to get a copy of the O18 and check on these other submissions. So what's the response time? When are you to prepare and submit an incident report? If it's for child abuse, this shall be submitted within 48 hours from the incident. If bullying, it should be immediately. If the incident concerns a child at risk and a child in conflict with the law, it should also be immediately. At kanino siya isasubmit? So from the guidance counselor and school head to the SDS for signature. Then the SDS shall refer the same to the child protection focal person, and then to the DIO and the legal officer, and then to the regional office through the RIO and also through the legal unit. Next, theft or robbery. These, of course, should transpire within the school premises or the STO, outside of which nakawan sa bahay ng isang estudyante, nakawan sa bahay ng isang guro, hindi na po iyon concern ng division. So wag na pong mag-abala na mag-submit pa ng incident report on the matter. So who shall prepare the incident report? The property custodian and the school head. And we have the same response time. And again, kung kanino ito isasubmit, we emphasize from the school level to the SDS to the persons in charge. But usually, it's the division information officer. Next, in case of death, sino ang dapat na mag-prepare ng investigation, ng incident report? It should be the school head. We may also incorporate herein suicide. However, unlike death, which should be reported only if the same happened within the STO or the school, or if outside, it should be, or it should have transpired rather, during a legitimate school activity. If hindi, namatay habang tulog, namatay dahil nagpunta ng kung saan man, nag-outing during summer vacation, so long as it's not a legitimate school activity, hindi na kailangang i-report iyon. However, for suicide involving personnel, and most especially involving our learners, whether or not such death transpired within or without or outside the school or the office premises, that should be reported through incident report by the school head. For suicide, since this is something that is sensitive, an issue that is sensitive, the names should not be disclosed. However, in your report, kailangan pa rin isulat yun. Sa magre-receive na lamang, particularly the Division Information Officer, will have to withhold such information because this is something that should be treated as confidential. Action to be taken, aside from, of course, the preparation and submission of incident report. I've been using investigation report since we have just had so many investigation reports in the office. Anyway, so incident report, I may commit the same mistake as I discuss the succeeding slides, but please know that if I say investigation report, I mean incident report. All right. Okay, so aside from the submission of the incident report, what other actions were taken upon the happening of the incident? Say, for example, for suicide, appropriate psychosocial intervention has been made. So that should be found in that row under the template for the incident report, not limited to the preparation and submission of IR. And actually, we have same response time should be done immediately. And to whom should it be submitted? To the DIO. Physical injuries. The physical injuries should transpire, again, within or without, when we say without, outside the school or the office premises, involving either our personnel, whether teaching or non-teaching, or of course, our students. If outside the premises, it must be during a legitimate or office activity. Legitimate office or school activity, rather. Who shall prepare the IR? It should be the school head. Claim for school sites. This matter has to be reported through the incident report. And who is the person responsible for the preparation of the IR? The property custodian and the school head. Intrusion within school premises by strangers. Person in charge is the school head. And what action should have been taken aside from the preparation and submission of IR? Maybe coordination with the LGU, the barangay, or having this one recorded in blotter, or reaching out to the police authorities. Next, sudden collapse of school buildings. Person in charge, the property custodian, and the school head. Action taken may be coordinating with the SGOD, particularly with the physical facilities unit. Of course, when there is gambling in school, incident report should be prepared and submitted as well. Of course, for gambling outside the school, we are no longer concerned about that. So who shall prepare? We have the guidance counselor and the school head. Next, drug-related incidents or proliferation of drugs. Whether or not this transpired within or outside the school or the SDO, this matter has to be reported through an IR. What actually happens in reality is that it's the Division Information Officer or the legal officer who reaches out to the school head to prepare and submit the incident report. This should not, of course, happen. This should not be the case. Why? Because it is the school head, it is the guidance counselor who is in the field and who has the immediate opportunity, or who has or can have rather the first-hand information regarding this matter. So dapat hindi na hinahayaan na mauna ang media, na mauna na maipost ito sa Facebook, na mauna na maibalita sa GMA, etc. bago pa mag-submit ng incident report. Since we are, or you are rather, on the field, you should be minding, or you should have information about the incidents which transpire within your jurisdiction. So, this incident should be reported by the guidance counselor and the school head. When? Immediately. Another one, violation of no collection policy. So, this shall be reported by the school head. Armed conflict, the school head, or take note of the conjunction used, or the DRRM coordinator. And other analogous incidents. So for those incidents not found in those discussed, then dito na siya magfo-fall, na dapat ang mag-prepare ay ang school head. So relative to reporting of COVID-19, before said reports are submitted to the DIO or to the legal unit, and then forwarded to the regional office, which is also forwarded from the regional office to the central office. However, upon consultation and discussion with the regional information officer and with the DRRM coordinator, this now has been removed from the authority of the Division Information Officer. So the Division Information Officer does not anymore receive incident reports on COVID. Why? For two primary reasons. First is, since we are in an extraordinary time during this pandemic, imagine the number of people being infected by COVID-19. And if these incident reports keep on coming and are being transmitted from one office to another, papers are only piling up. In a day, the Division Information Officer before received more than 5 incident reports on COVID. So, nagpa-pile up lang po talaga siya. Lalong-lalo na sa regional office. Second, and most importantly, this particular incident requires strict confidentiality. So, those people infected with COVID-19 is not meant, or are not rather meant, to be divulged in public. Their identity should be kept confidential. So if these COVID-19 reports are being transmitted from one office to another, then that particular submission negates or violates the rule on confidentiality. That's why it was decided that COVID-19 incident reports are no longer received by the DIO. Instead, the DRRM coordinator will receive the same, or there may be actually a policy being implemented now on the matter, which is not anymore the concern of the DIO. So maybe the DRRM coordinator or the personnel concerned we'll have a different discussion on the matter. So what's being asked only relative to the COVID-19 incident report is the submission of a monthly summary of the number of personnel infected by COVID-19. The school or the office concerned may be identified, but the name of the person concerned is no longer necessary. So, hindi na nire-require or hinihingi yung particular na pangalan ng isang tao for this submission of monthly report. So, that's it for the COVID-19 incident reports and for the submission of incident reports on other types of incidents. Before we end, here are some reminders relative to the submission of the incident report. A template on the incident report must be used. We appreciate the initiative to include all details to discuss in essay, lengthy essays, the details of an incident. However, templates are being used for a reason, for a purpose. Let's take a look at this template. This template is actually used for ease in reading, ease of identifying the salient information. So no need to narrate the details of an incident in an essay or in a paragraph, because this facilitates easy reading. So type of incident, so you have to indicate there what type of incident is being reported, inclusive date and time of incident. If it happened at an unknown time or date, then just provide there an approximate date and time. Exact location of the incident, involved persons and their specific participation in the incident that transpired. It may be bullet points or number only. Opposite the name of the person is the participation. Should there be minors involved, just like the incidents which are identified as sensitive, the names of those people involved shall be withheld by the SDO or the division legal officer. Then here also, if an incident involves a minor, then the name of such minor will also be withheld. Narrative details of the incident. Here, you can have your essay or paragraph, but we make it briefly. Only the very important points of the details should be included here. If this space is not enough, then additional pages may be added or may be used. This is what I've been pointing out earlier under actions taken. So this should not be limited to preparation and submission of incident report. This should include or should reflect the actions, the interventions taken after or during the happening of the incident. Recommendations now. After the incident, what actions or what particular plan should be undertaken so that similar actions will be avoided in the future? So, yan ang dapat na nasa recommendation. Kung wala pang psychosocial intervention, then for, let's say, suicide incidents, dito na ilagay na kailangan ng kailangan ng psychosocial intervention of the classmates, of the friends of that particular person who committed suicide. What else? If there was intrusion in the school, what should be needed? Maybe the construction of fence, school fence, etc. So date prepared, sino ang nag-prepare? Kailangan may perma. Na-review na ba ito ni SDS? So kailangan dumaan muna sa opisina ni SDS bago isa-submit sa DIO. Okay. So that's the template for submission of incident reports. What else? The IR may be handwritten or encoded due to the immediacy or the urgency for submission of the incident report. Kung wala naman computer, kung nasaan man na-transpire or nangyari ang isang incident, then pwede naman handwritten na lang, provided that the same is clearly written, wala masyadong erasures, legible. Okay? Next. The IR may be written in Filipino, English, or in Bicol, provided, however, that if Bicol dialect is used, then a translation should be incorporated. Why? Because these incident reports are submitted to the regional office and also to the central office. So the people who should be reading this should understand. And they may not be well aware of our dialect in Bicol. And finally, photographs and other relevant documents may be attached to the IR. Say, for example, there's theft or robbery and there was breaking in the school, so might as well take a photo of what has been broken, the door, the padlock, etc., and attach that to the incident report. So that's it for the guidelines on incident report. I hope we shed light or we are able to understand clearly this time how incident reports are prepared and submitted. Thank you once again to Dr. Hera for this opportunity to give light on this matter. And thank you everyone for listening.
COVID-19 is a disease caused by the new coronavirus. Know the symptoms. They include fever, coughing, muscle pain, shortness of breath. What can you do? Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for 20 seconds or use an alcohol-based hand rub. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth with a tissue or flexed elbow. Discard tissues into a closed bin and then wash your hands. Maintain a distance of at least 1 meter between yourself and someone who is ill. Seek medical help if you display symptoms. Wear a mask if you are coughing or sneezing, or if you are caring for someone who is sick. Dispose of your masks into a closed bin and then wash your hands. Check trusted sources regularly for accurate information. Remember, the best prevention is to keep yourself healthy and follow these safe steps.
Quality education requires a healthy and enabling environment. For students to learn, they should have access to clean water, functional toilets, and be able to practice proper hygiene. Access to WASH in schools, or WINS, is a right of every child, and schools are responsible in providing a healthy and conducive learning environment. WINS is one of the most basic aspects in ensuring that children are ready for learning. By addressing WASH in schools, you are helping to prevent hygiene-related diseases, promote positive behavior and life skills, improve attendance and participation, help them thrive and learn better, promote gender equality, and affirm children's right to health and education. In a larger context, WINS contributes to realizing the Philippine government's strategy to accelerate human capital development. At the global level, WASH in schools supports the attainment of 2 of the Sustainable Development Goals, namely, SDG 4. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And SDG 6. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. To harness these potentials, the Philippine Department of Education released the Department Order No. 10, Series 2016, titled Policy and Guidelines for the Comprehensive Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene in Schools program in 2016. However, there is still a wide gap between this vision and the reality for many schools in the country. In order to bridge this gap, an incremental approach to WINS has been developed to help schools improve step by step. This is called the 3-star approach.
The approach guides and motivates the schools to implement stepwise improvements in their WASH conditions. It works by recognizing the achievement of WASH milestones with corresponding merit levels: 1 star, 2 stars, and 3 stars.
The Comprehensive Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene in Schools policy is DepEd's response to creating a healthy learning environment. The 3-star approach is a mechanism for schools to determine the extent of their efforts in reaching the standards indicated in the policy. All this is made possible using the principles of school-based management, the support of the School WINS TWG, and a convergence of efforts from the school, division, region, healthcare institutions, and LGU.
If we have clean hands and physical ways or other aspects, then our future will be more secure because our hands influence the state of our overall health.
Ang mga mag-aaral ay halos buong araw na nasa paaralan. Dito, kailangan nilang uminom, kumain, at magbanyo. Kailangan din nilang maghugas ng kamay gamit ang sabon bago kumain at pagtapos magbanyo. Ngunit ang totoong nangyayari ay marumi at hindi maayos ang mga banyo. Walang tubig at wala ring sabon. Kaya naman, ayaw gumamit ng banyo ng mga mag-aaral na nakasasama sa kanilang kalusugan. Dahil dito, ang kagawaran ng edukasyon ng Pilipinas ay nagpapatupad ng polisiya ukol sa tubig, sanidad at kalinisan. Ito ay nagsasaad ng mga pamantayan at pamamaraan upang mapanatiling malinis at maayos ang palikuran at masiguradong mayroong tubig at sabon sa mga hugasan ng kamay. Ang paaralang elementarya ng San Jose sa lungsod Quezon ay nagpapakita ng magandang halimbawa kung paano makagagawa ng mga simpleng hakbang upang maabot ang pambansang pamantayan.
Dati ito po ang sitwasyon ng toilet sa ating paaralan. Ang ratio ng bata sa toilet ay 1:157. At mahirap i-maintain ang ganun karaming bata sa isang toilet. Makikita natin dati na ang mga toilet ay sira-sira, hindi maayos at mahirap i-maintain na. Ngayon, dahil sa pagtutulungan natin, meron na tayong maayos na toilet, may kumpletong gamit, may tubig, may sabon, at maliwanag ang lahat ng toilet at nagagamit na maayos ng ating mga mag-aaral.
Yung mga naidulot na kabutihan sa ating mga bata ay yung pagiging responsable nila sa paggamit ng toilets at saka yung pagpapanatiling malinis nito at nagiging habit na rin nila na kailangan maging aware sila kung ano yung nakikita nilang hindi maganda, inaayos na nila bago sila lumabas ng mga toilets.
Masaya po ako sa mga nakita kong pagbabago kasi po sobrang linis na po, mabango, tsaka po marami na pong batang disiplinado. Dati po mabaho po yung CR namin. Wala pong disiplina gumamit yung mga nagsi-CR. At tsaka po sobrang dumi po. Ninya, wait! You have to wash your hands. Don't waste water. Bilang hygiene patrol, tinutulungan po namin yung mga teachers mag-assist sa mga estudyante nila papuntang CR. Nililinis po namin minsan, pinapabango po, chine-check po yung checklist.
So you are going to check, number 1, the water, number 2, the soap, number 3, the crush bin, number 4, the toilet brush, and number 5, the tabo and the bucket. And don't forget to sign in the checklist. Is that clear?
Since yung pressure nga ng tubig ay mahina, so hindi nakakarating yung tubig dito sa 3rd floor. So we let the students bring empty bottles for them to bring water for their toilet necessities. Every day, after the class, they have to get water downstairs and bring it at the 3rd floor and fill up the reservoir we have. And they can have it for the next day for them to use.
The San Jose Elementary School experience in improving our toilets teaches us a lot. Number 1, the PTA, the teachers, parents, and pupils work together in solving our from simple to complex problem. Number 2, the school were able to include in the annual program the hand washing celebration, the World Toilet Day celebration, and the school also launch and implement the school hygiene patrol, which aims to promote the proper use of toilets among our school children. The third thing that we learned from this experience is that we were able to use properly our resources and funds like the MOOE and the PTA fund in improving our toilets.
Toilet issue, toilet problems, ito ay mga problema sa eskwelahan na madalas hindi bibigyan ng aksyon. Kaya nung ako ay na-elect bilang Pangulo ng paaralang ito, sabi ko sa aking mga kasamahan, ang una nating ayusin ang mga CR, gawan natin ng paraan. Alam ko wala kaming pera, wala kaming funds para ayusin ang bawat sirang eskwelahan, palinisin ang mga eskwelahan. Bagkus nag-isip kami ng paraan kung ano ang aming gagawin. Nangolekta kami ng mga empty bottles, yung mga scratch paper ng mga bata, inipon namin at ibinenta namin sa junk shop. Mula sa perang pinagbentahan, yun unti-unti bumili kami ng mga gamit panglinis, mga timba, tabo, upang ang bawat toilet na hindi nagagamit, kahit paunti-unti maisaayos namin at mapakinabangan ng mga bata.
Maraming pagbabagong naganap nang simulan ang proyektong ito dito sa ating paaralan. Unang-una, yung mga CR natin ay nagagamit na ng mga mag-aaral.
Hindi tulad ng dati, ito ay kinatatakutan dahil madilim, walang pinto, at sila ay exposed sa mga dumadaan, kaya hindi nila ito nagagamit ng maayos. At ang mga ito ay nagagamit na ng ating mga kabataan nang hindi sila nakakaramdam ng takot, kundi sila ay nakakaramdam ng comfort sa kanilang paggamit ng mga palikurang ito.
Bilang magulang, natutuwa ako sa nangyari sa atin. Kasi ilang taon na marumi ang CR natin nangangalingasa. Pero ngayon, natutuwa ako, malinis, may nagagamit na, bawat grade level may nagagamit na kanya-kanyang CR. At natuturuan ng mga bata ng magandang pamamaraan kung paano paggamit ng CR. Yun lang.
I am Datu, and this is my school, and our story with the 3-star approach for water, sanitation, and hygiene in my school. This was our last school year. We had no wash facilities, which meant that there was no toilet. Sometimes, we kids had to poo and pee outside. We also had nowhere to wash our hands, and no clean water to drink. When we decided to take the step to become a 1-star school, we needed our community on board, and our teachers made the commitment to ensure the standards we put in place would be maintained. It didn't cost very much. With less than $40 for materials found locally, our community came together to build a group hand-washing station in our schoolyard. This meant we could have daily hand-washing sessions before lunch, using soap that our local education department gave us a budget for. Our teachers also supervised the daily cleaning of our 2 new toilets. And our families provided us with water bottles to take to school where we could fill them from a safe water supply. When we got our 1-star status, we had a celebration on 15th of October, which is Global Hand Washing Day, where we received our certificate and our flag, which flies in the schoolyard. On that day, our school and community made a commitment to become a 3-star school in the next 2 years. I've gotten so used to washing my hands at school, I'm washing them more at home too. So does the rest of the family. The Parents Teachers Association approached the local companies and business establishments and fundraised so that we could increase the number of toilets for us and for our teachers too. No more waiting in line. Our school developed a hygiene promoting program, which included installing another hand washing station using tippy taps near the toilets, and we were encouraged to wash our hands with soap after going to the toilet. My sister, Amihan, was given special menstrual hygiene classes, and the girls got extra facilities to be able to manage menstrual hygiene. We also raised funds to install ceramic filters to treat water so that we could refill our water bottles in our own classroom. We became a 2-star school and are about to receive more funds to upgrade our facilities, install more toilets, hand-washing facilities, and improve accessibility so that Gopal and other children with disabilities can come to our school. Hand-washing has become a habit for me and my friends, in school and at home. We also have a strong committee of teachers and parents who make sure that facilities are well maintained and clean. Together, we are working towards the 3-star school status and meet national standards. Let us all support and strive to achieve the 3-star approach so that all children have opportunities to go to school with access to safe water, child-friendly sanitation facilities, and hygiene education.
Thank you, Attorney Kate, for that informative discussion. Our next speaker is a woman of passion and commitment. She is the true epitome of beauty and talent. Let us now listen to to Dr. Hera Teresa Albanyo as she presents the DepEd Order 249, Series of 2020, and the concept of contact tracing.
To our Schools Division Superintendent, Ma'am Loida Enidea, to our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Ma'am Lindsay Padillo, Ma'am Maria Magnolia Brioso, Sir Sueño Losada, to our OIC Chief of SGOD, Sir Pedro J. Piloño, to the CID Chief, Ma'am Maribel Berha, to our Public Schools District Supervisors, elementary and secondary, to our school heads, to the School Health Section personnel, ladies and gentlemen, so good morning. So for today, I am tasked to render a talk regarding contact tracing in relation to the Division DepEd Memo number 249 series of 2020. But for now, we will just be focusing regarding the measures on what will be done in case of a COVID-19 positive employee and in case of contact with a probable COVID-19. So we have here the mitigating measures in the event of a COVID-19 positive employee. So the first thing that should be done is to inform promptly the immediate head of office. So for example, under the school health section personnel, if there is a nurse, a dentist, or dental aide who tested positive for COVID-19, then he or she must immediately inform the medical officer, yours truly, that he or she has tested positive for COVID-19. And what we will be done next will be to coordinate with the COVID task force team in place in the division. And we will have the reporting to the respective BERT, CESU, or MESU for quarantine measures and possible testing. So, however, there is some confusion regarding the reporting to the respective BERT, CESU, or MESU as to who shall report. So actually, according to the Data Privacy Act, it should be the person involved directly who must report to their respective BERT, CESU, or MESU in order to avoid issues regarding confidentiality and privacy issues. But our nurses are very much willing to facilitate or to help in reporting to respective BERT, CESU, or MESU. Then, of course, with the hope that that person will completely recover from COVID-19, so he or she can only return to work after completion of 14 days of quarantine and clearance from authorized health personnel from CESU or MESU or private hospital if admitted or any public hospital or present any medical certificate clearing him or her. But this is in the premise that that concerned personnel is already asymptomatic. When we say that that person is asymptomatic, he or she is not experiencing signs and symptoms. So the common question is, for example, after 14 days, that person is still symptomatic, still with cough. So should we allow him to go to work? Of course not. So in the interest of public health safety, he or she can only return to work once cleared and asymptomatic. The next one would be the mitigating measures in the event of close contact. But actually, the definition of a close contact is very fluid. So this definition is actually from the Department of Health Memorandum number 2020-0045 in page 4 dated May 28, 2020. But with the emergence of various variants now in the Philippines coming from all over the world in different parts of the globe, so the definition becomes very fluid. So in the event that there is a contact with a probable COVID-19, so what we should do is, of course, yun pa rin, to inform. And if in case that the event occurred in the school, what should be done is to inform the school head or the head of office via other means of communication other than physical reporting, such as online platform, phone call, or text messaging. For example, teacher A is a contact of a positive COVID-19. For example, very common scenario. For example, her husband tested for COVID-19. So what she must do is to inform her school head that her husband tested for positive for COVID-19 so that she will not be required to physically report to work and may apply for alternative work arrangement, which is work from home, addressed to their school head and duly approved by our STS. Then, as advised by school head or head of office with the assistance of the nurse assigned, that person should be able to report to respective MESO, CESO, or PESO for prompt case finding, quarantine measures, and possible testing. So, as a reminder, by certain RHU and BERT, that they will not be able to actually give a quarantine certificate clearance if the concerned person did not directly report to them. So to be able to give them a quarantine certificate or clearance, that person should have been able to report to them on the start of their quarantine day because, for example, that person started July 1. So if that person started to have quarantine July 1 but reported only on the July 5, then those days between July 1 to July 4 are actually sometimes not counted because, of course, they were not able, the BERT and the RHU were not able to really monitor or to really have that evidence that they are actually in quarantine in their respective homes. So incident report is to be furnished by the school head or head of office to be addressed and directly submitted to our schools division superintendent. So health monitoring of nurse assigned to affected school personnel is actually being done regularly for persons under monitoring who are actually, so when we say under monitoring, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are COVID-19 positive. It's just that you may have been a contact, declared contact of a certain probable, it could be a probable only, or confirmed COVID-19 positive. So sometimes, usually or most of the times, the usual platform is through the messenger or through text messaging or phone calls. And psychosocial support is actually being rendered through the psychological first aid through our nurses. So this is an example format of a IR. So the type of incident, excuse me, the type of incident, COVID-19 confirmed, inclusive date and time, month, date, and year. So if you would like to include also the time, we can. Exact location or incident, STO annex, main or school A, school B, wherever that is. Involved person or specific participation, we have the name of the concerned personnel, age, gender, complete address. So I would like to emphasize the importance of the completeness of the data because we actually report this to, this data to the regional office, which is being forwarded also to the central office. So we have here the secondary contacts. So for example, in room 118, room 215, room 312. So we have the total here. So for the narrative details of the incident, it may include from the history of exposure of that person to a probable or unconfirmed COVID-19, or we may simply put there is no known exposure to a probable or confirmed COVID-19. Then the symptoms, when did it start, or we can say that the person is asymptomatic if the person is only a contact, or he or she is positive but asymptomatic. So symptoms started when and characterized, and actions taken. Very important is the last date of reporting to SDO Annex, and was he or she asymptomatic at the time or symptomatic already at the time that he or she reported. So if we know that we are symptomatic, so we can already inform our head of office or our school head that we are symptomatic, even though we are not really saying that all cough or all colds are COVID-19, but as a precautionary measure, we can always ask them to give us alternative work arrangement. So, and who are the workmates exposed? So for the actions taken, our nurses assigned to our specific schools with over 1,000 schools in the SDO Camarines Sur. So each of those schools have a specific has nurses assigned on them, so they can already advise as to what are the appropriate measures to be done. So as indicated or mentioned in our Division DepEd Memo number 249 Series 2020, so the incident should be reported also not just to the SDO CamSur but to the LGU for further advice and action. So contact tracing will be done with the aid of our nurses, and nurses will coordinate with our respective bird. But as I mentioned earlier, there may be issues regarding confidentiality and privacy issues regarding the coordination of the bird. So it is better if the concerned personnel will be the one to personally report to their respective birds, CESU or MESU, so as to avoid this kind of problems regarding confidentiality and privacy issues. So the nurses will just be there to facilitate, but they will not be the one to specifically report to the bird, CESU or MESU, unless otherwise that the concerned personnel has already reported and our nurses will only just follow up certain things or certain matters or concerns. So we can also request for a psychological first aid to be able to ease the panic with the concern that they are under monitoring or contacts, primary or secondary, to be conducted by our SDO nurses. We also have daily routine monitoring of temperature. So that's why sometimes they will be asked to text or to send a message to our Facebook or other means of platform to be able to know or monitor if there are symptoms or there is fever, there is cough, there is colds or other signs and symptoms. Then, of course, to emphasize the COVID-19 health protocol and render health education. So for the recommendations, we can recommend, of course, disinfection and alternative work arrangement for those that are on monitoring or considered primary or secondary contacts. And as a reminder, it is not within our premise to recommend to be able to say that this place will be in lockdown, but because this still needs the approval of our SDS and of course to be forwarded and approved by the regional office. So here we have to indicate the date prepared and prepared by. So if it is actually in the division office, so actually it should be the head of office, but the nurses can also be the one to prepare, and then it should be noted by the head of office so that he or she is informed of what was written or what was indicated in the incident report. And there are already specific nurses who are assigned in specific offices in SDO main and SDO annex to assist for COVID-19 related concerns. So data received by and reviewed by our schools division superintendent, Ma'am Loida Enidea. While this one is regarding the contact tracing, so that we will have basis on the contact tracing, what are the pertinent questions that we should ask. So we have here the declared contacts. So we will ask the concerned person, ma'am, who are the persons whom you have associated with. So, for example, he or she has associated or has conversed with person A. For example, ito, April 15. So, for the duration, we can say approximately 15 to 20 minutes, then with face mask, face shield. So, person B, how many minutes also with face mask or face shield? Person C, face mask, face shield. Person D, person E, or depending upon the number of declared contacts. So that the purpose of this is to be able to validate, because sometimes as it cannot be also taken away that sometimes there might be some confusion as to who is this person, or did he or did he really associated with this person for a longer period, or was he just confused? So we write here these things, the declared contacts, to be able to validate really if really they had prolonged duration of contact, or was there no face mask or face shield. Then we have to write here prepared by. So if it is in the division office, prepared by the nurse and to be noted by, of course, the head of office and by our school's division superintendent. But in the school level, actually this is not being implemented yet, as the nurses are the one who are conducting the contact tracing. But in the future, also we can also train them so that they will also be able to know how to be able to determine who are really the contacts. But as I mentioned earlier, the definition of close contact or primary and secondary contact is fluid, it's changing because of the emergence of many variants of the COVID-19. And also, there is some confusion regarding the completion of the 14 days and the 7 days. So in our scenario, for example, teacher A is a contact of her husband who is positive for COVID-19. So in that case, if the teacher has reported to school after, for example, without knowing that her husband tested for COVID-19, then those persons who associated with her are considered secondary contact. So in that event, why do we advise the secondary contact to undergo 7 days quarantine? So this is just but an interim guidelines, because the teacher A, who is a primary contact of her husband, can be a positive for COVID-19 should the test yield a positive result. So in that event, if the teacher unfortunately tests positive for COVID-19, then all the other secondary contacts will be considered as primary contact of the teacher. That's why oftentimes the secondary contacts are being asked to observe, to be monitored for a duration of 7 days. But there are LGUs who are very strict that they are being asked to complete 14 days. So it might depend upon sometimes on the birth or the LGU to whom they have reported. But still, they are. We should follow what they tell us if ever we need 7 days or 14 days. But the standard is really 14 days. But yun nga, if the teacher just, for example, test negative naman for COVID-19, then most of the time, 90% chance na all of the secondary contacts will be cleared and will be allowed to go back to work or go back to their daily lives. So that's all. Thank you very much for listening. And once again, good afternoon, and I wish you good health, stay safe, and long life to each and every one of us. Goodbye.
Thank you, Doc Hera, for elucidating to us the concept of contact tracing. Now, let us listen to Ma'am Connie Ruby for her message of support.
To our Schools Division Superintendent, Ma'am Loida N. Nidea. To our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Sueño S. Lozada Jr. To our OIC Chief, SDOD, Sir Peter Pelonio. To our Medical Officer, Dr. Hera Teresa R. Albano. Attorney Kate Flores, nurses, dentists, dental aides, school heads, clinic teachers, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant afternoon to all. It has been more than a year since the pandemic has tested us. So much has changed in just a short period of time. It brought profound impacts on most areas of life to people from all walks of life. The education system is one as the most affected as face-to-face classes have been restricted. Hence, distance learning is being strengthened. However, we are aware that pupils have different learning strategies. That is why Back to School program is here. I would like to express my affirmation and support to this campaign. This calls us to focus our energies to give our best efforts to end this pandemic. I am confident that the school health section, being healthcare providers, together with the DepEd officials, can help respond to the challenges of this crisis. We all play a great role. At this point, nothing is more important than ensuring our health and safety as well as our teacher and non-teaching personnel. This is to protect ourselves as we protect others too. This campaign shall also increase the chances of safely going back to face-to-face classes. To end, always remember that these too shall pass. As we hope for the end of the pandemic, let us be a hope to others through the Back to School program. Together, we will get through this. We can achieve a COVID-free community. Once again, good afternoon and thank you.
For the
my salutation
remarks, may I call in Sir Mar Runelo Guerina, our COVID-19 coordinator.
My salutations to all. On behalf of the School Health Section, I would like to thank the School's Division Office of Camarines Sur, SDS Ma'am Loida Nidea, and to our ASDSS, Sir Sueño Losada, Ma'am Maggie Briuso, and Ma'am Lynn Padillo, and to our SGOD Chief, Sir Pedro Pelonio, and CID Chief Ma'am Maribel Borja, for the endless support in all our health-related endeavors. My heartfelt thanks also to the IT section for the technical assistance. At this closing instance, let me thank you all for taking part of this valuable and meaningful affair. To all public schools district supervisors, school heads, COVID task force, and DRR coordinators, my sincerest gratitude goes to you all. Last but not the least, I would like to thank my colleagues in the school health section, headed by our lovely and brilliant medical officer, Dr. Hera Teresa Albanyo, our motherly nurse in charge, Ma'am Connie Ruby, and dentist in charge, Dr. Mary Josephine Escaraga, for the guidance, teamwork, and cooperation in all our undertakings. COVID-19 is still here, and we don't know when this pandemic will end. Let us work hand in hand in ensuring a COVID-19 free school community. We will heal as one, and together we will rise again. Thank you, and stay safe, everyone.